Hello, debt-free degree beloveds. I am here with my dear sister, Chris Gosnell, and y'all can feel the excitement. Y'all can feel the love. Chris and I deeply, we text every day. We are dear friends, sweet sisters. We love each other. And this series is entitled, Dang, I Wish I Knew You When I Went to College. And it came about in a mastermind that Chris is a part of, and I was talking about ways to get the information, out about debt free degree. And this was Chris's suggestion. And so, while you can, again, see a lot of love and see a lot of joy, what we're talking about today is actually a really difficult topic. And it's difficult to talk about on camera and to be recorded. And so I just want you all to understand that like you're even going to feel like the temperature of the video kind of go down, because what we're talking about is really heavy and in many ways very frustrating and very sad and very emotional. And so while she actually has a little silver lining that she'll share with us at the end, that's not everybody's case. That's not everybody's story. And so I want to be cognizant of that. I want to be hold space for all of those emotions. And ultimately, it's about, if you want to take student loans, this is a trajectory you might find yourself on. If you want to earn a debt-free degree, this is a trajectory that you can avoid. And so that's where we're heading. So with that, dear beloved Chris Gosnell, just introduce yourself to our community and just share all the great stuff you've got going on right now in your business and in your personal life if you want to too.
Sure. Well, hello, everybody. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that lovely introduction. I am Chris Gosnell. I am a photographer and a videographer, and my degree is in photography. I went to the Art Institute, and it was really a great education. I am never going to say that education is not worth it, but I'm going to say take my tail as a precautionary measure to say, have a plan when you go in. So it was just craziness. It really was. As far as the education was great. The teachers were wonderful. Can't imagine being in this industry without an education, to be honest. But the financing, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yes. So many of you know that many of you have taken my course. Many of you have been a part of seeing a lot of my video series and that kind of thing. Anything that I have done in a studio has all been with Chris Gosnell and her amazing videography skills. And for those of you that have bought the book, my picture on the cover of the book, as well as on the back jacket, taken by Chris Gosnell. So I am both one of her biggest fans and also one of her customers for photography and videography. So I can, attest to her brilliance. And I am delighted that it's undergirded by education. I think that's phenomenal. And so, Chris, let's dig in a little bit and let's talk about your trajectory. And we can go over the pieces that you want to. And if I ask you a question that you don't want to answer, then just don't answer and we'll just move it on. It's
Oh
okay.
God.
And I want
I
my
know a
audience
good
to know that.
I
So
know a good video editor.
there you go. Okay. Well, there you go. See, exactly. Exactly. So, you went to the Art Institute. It was there in Denver, Colorado, correct?
I did.
Your
I did.
major was it photography?
Photography. I learned video later.
Okay.
It was easy to learn. When you learn one thing, you learn another.
Yeah.
Camera. Just lighting and telling the story was a little different. I
Yes.
make it sound easy, but
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um, and yeah, the idea with the Art Institute was great. Now, I didn't go to college right out of high school. I went in my early 30s. Didn't
Okay.
really know much better as far as like, hey, let's have a plan financially.
Mhm.
Let's do this. Let's do that. And actually, I remember hearing from a friend who went in state to Florida State University. He was talking about paying like 150 for his education. And I thought, okay, well, and they were telling me that I'd probably borrow about 74, 75, and I'm thinking, well, that's a steal, right? Half the
Uh-huh.
price of a university education, and
Uh-huh.
a very specific education.
Uh-huh.
Sounded great to me, and I'm thinking, they're saying, oh, you can have affordable payments. All right, affordable payments, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they made
So
it so I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
no. Well, number one, they made it so easy for you to get the loans, and I want to talk about that. But I just want to clarify, you graduated with about $75,000 in debt, which you thought was a steal because your friend had graduated with $150,000 in debt from Florida State
And
University
with in-state tuition, so not
with
even
stated
out-of-state tuition. Yeah,
exactly. And your idea at that time of an affordable payment was how much?
about 250, 300.
And
Because
it
when I bought a car new last time, but that was my car payment. Now that tells you how long ago that was, but
right,
that's
but
what I
that's
was
what
figuring was
yeah,
affordable.
when somebody says affordable, you're thinking $250 a month. And what was your very first monthly payment? Do you remember for all of it?
I don't remember, but recently it's kind of jumped up to like 700, $800 a month. And I'm like, you're outside your mind.
Uh-huh.
You are outside your ever loving mind.
Uh-huh.
Things were in forbearance for a while, with COVID. That was just a natural thing that happened to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came back, it was like $700. Like, no,
Right, which is
that
not reasonable, right?
well, it's not for me. It may
Uh-huh.
be for other people, but I'm self-employed.
Uh-huh.
And it's just not, I don't have a paycheck coming in every other Friday. And it's like, no, that's not reasonable at all. Not
Now,
in the
the
least.
person that told you it would be reasonable, was that the person who you met with in financial aid?
That was no, actually, financial aid talked to you very little.
Okay.
It was the recruiter who got me in. She's like, yeah, the payments will be very reasonable. It's not a problem. Financial aid is very helpful. Yes, they are very helpful in getting loans for you. In fact, it was funny. I would go in each quarter. So it wasn't semesters, they're quarters.
Uh-huh.
And you go and just sit down with your financial aid. You just tell them who you are. You got your ID, and okay, here's your loans. Sign here. Go register for your classes. Have a nice day. And that was it. There was no conversation whatsoever.
Mhm.
None.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
went through 4 years of this.
Uh-huh.
Just every quarter, it was like, sit down. Here's your loans. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And they may tell you, okay, these are subsidized, these are not. I don't really know what that means. These are private, these are federal. Okay. That was it.
Yeah.
No, hey, why don't you take a couple less classes? Why don't you have just a plan? There was just nothing.
Right.
It was so easy
Right.
to get money to go to
Right.
school.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you have now said have a plan 3 times. Have a plan. So, if you could have designed the plan, what would your what would today Chris tell then Chris in terms of a plan? Because I just want my listeners, my viewers to be really clear. If you're expecting financial aid to provide the plan, then it's a little bit like saying you expect the bakery owner to design a great Weight Watchers plan for you. Like, you just don't go to the bakery to, you know,
That's good.
and so, financial aid is not there for Chris to graduate debt free. Financial aid is there to get money for Chris to continue paying tuition to the institution.
Correct. Very true. Um, honestly, I would read your book, which I have not
Oh, I
yet,
didn't even ask her to say that, y'all.
because I don't fully know how I would have done it. And looking at it now, I know that there's some ideas, but the monthly amount, the amount of money I would need every quarter to take the classes that I did would be crazy in my mind to come up with. So honestly, I really don't know. So I would read your book, find out how to do it,
Mm-hmm,
and then actually have a plan.
mm-hmm.
Simply because I don't know what's in your book completely.
Uh-huh. 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 We can amend that, and that's all good. Yes, and I appreciate the plug because I was not expecting that at all. So thank you, thank you, thank you,
Well,
thank
that's why, because
you. So
I don't have those tools that you have, the
yeah,
knowledge and the understanding. So I would be like, how do I do this? How do I
yes,
actually go to school, pay for it as I go along, or whatever it happened to be?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So okay, so you graduated with $75,000 in student loan debt. You mentioned that you went to college in your early 30s.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea if you would like to share with our audience that you've been out of school about 2 years or however long you choose to
um,
share.
about 20.
Okay, about 20. So as of a month and a half ago, the balance on your loans was $64,000.
Yes. And that's after negotiating a payoff and paying off the private loans. So I had private loans and federal loans. You
Mm-hmm.
can't do that with federal loans. So I worked hard. I paid off the private ones, negotiated with them. You can't negotiate with Fed loans. And boy, that stuff just went on. So I originally, I borrowed about 74, 75.
Mm-hmm.
And with paying off and with payments for the better part of 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff, still 64,000 today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, for the love, I'll be paying on this
Mm-hmm.
till the day I die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can see very easily how that gets overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
and how that freaks people out. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're like, can you imagine me? Granted, I have a business because of that education.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's like you never get out from under that loan.
Right,
You
right,
just never do. And there's not
right,
anything you can do about it.
right,
Oh,
right.
that's so everybody watching, that is exactly what I'm hearing when we were in this mastermind, Elizabeth and we're talking and I'm hearing this and I'm hearing this. This is the frustration. You're hearing my internal frustration that I'm going to be paying on this loan for the rest of my life. And how crazy is that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that I can do to make that better.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wish I knew you before I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that came along, with a
There we
little
go.
bit more of a colorful expletive.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I changed it to dang so we could, actually promote it. But yes, exactly.
But
Exactly.
you hear the frustration,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
I just kept telling her over and over. I'm like, you need to get your message out. You
Mm-hmm.
need to, because people need to know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if one person sends their child to school without debt, how much nicer would their child's life be as an
Right.
adult with an education, so they can do
Right.
the things in front of them instead of
Right.
YouTube Academy, and not have this crippling debt, and be
Yes.
able to buy a home and take care of their family without this mortgage payment
Yes.
sized payment over them for the rest of their life.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yes. I think it's important for that.
Yes.
If you're going to go in debt for something like a home,
Mm-hmm.
something that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm. Well,
If you
here's
have
the
to.
thing. There's as of this recording, there's about 46 billion with a B, $46 billion in grants and scholarships out there. I'm not aware that there's that much money out there to help people buy a car or to help people buy
Right?
a home,
Come
right?
on.
So that's one thing. Number two, my understanding is with some loan types, if you pass away, then that loan amount is passed to your heirs, and the
Yep.
heirs have to pay out of everything left to them. They have to pay off those loans first, and so there is no asset to sell because the person has passed away, and yet you're still left with this amount of money.
Right.
And the everybody, most everybody who's watching knows that I use the grit blueprint, and R in grit is return on investment. And so while Chris is right in that having a superb education undergirding you in entrepreneurship is phenomenal, particularly in an art and a science like photography and videography. Plus all the skills that you need to have to run your own business, because from what I hear from other folks who have gotten art degrees, it's a phenomenal degree in the art aspect, but perhaps not really a great preparation for owning your own business. So then there are some, there's some learning that needs to go on there. Um, However, I'm curious if you would say the $75,000 has been you've seen a great return on that investment.
Yes, my education was stellar, to be honest. The teachers
I
there
think
were amazing.
I think what I want to ask though, are you saying you would do it again?
Not with the loans, with the knowledge that I have
Right.
now, or
Right.
if I was
Okay.
to send, my niece or nephew to school,
Okay.
I wouldn't do it the same way. No, not at
Yes.
all.
Yes. So if you could figure out how to go to that school and get that degree and obtain it debt free, then the answer is
Absolutely.
yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Or another comparable school that will provide that type of degree debt
That
free.
actually brings me to my next point was
Okay, good.
now, okay, so the school I went to went out of business. It was a private school, went out of business, at least here in Colorado. I don't really know about everywhere else. Um, those teachers, they got absorbed and went into the community college um, um, schools around Colorado. So not only now am I part of it myself, but they are the same teachers that taught at this amazing school, same ones teaching the same curriculum at
Wow.
community college. Wasn't
Wow.
available when I went. I
Wow.
looked, it just wasn't. It
Wow.
was the education I got was cheaper than state college, and it was more focused, which is what I wanted.
Hmm.
But now that same education is available at community college level. And I'm like,
Wow.
even if I paid straight up for a community college, in comparison, so much better, so
Right.
much better pricing. So
Right.
it's just knowing what you're getting into and understanding
Exactly.
things.
Having a plan.
Have a plan.
Have a
What?
plan. Have a plan. Have a plan. Now, beloveds, many of you, when you're watching these videos, it kind of ends right here. It's like, this is where this person is today. This is where this person is, still carrying debt. Still, if you went back, there's a lady that I interviewed named Anita, and I interviewed her for two different things, Chris. And we did the other interview first, and then we did this dang series video next. It was the same day, two different, I recorded one, stopped, then recorded her the other. You can see her energy went psht. You could just like shame is one of those emotions. When we feel shame, our neck muscle releases and our head drops. You could just see it on her. And that's many people's story because, like you said, there's no way out of it. Many of you know that I'm very passionate about nonviolence. And it's why I say a debt free degree is a form of nonviolence, because Chris was basically an indentured servant. She
Yep.
could not pay it off. There was nothing she could do to pay it off. It was going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And beloveds, about a month ago, she was actually in my home and she got an email.
I did. The school, I said it went out of business, at least here in Colorado, as far as I know. Could be the others. But I did hear a couple years back that they were sued for their practices, and financing and all that good stuff. Apparently that came about, and I got an email from the education department saying that my loans, because of they were found to be, oh, I forget, but basically they weren't doing it well. They weren't doing a good job as far as financing went. That everyone who had loans between these certain periods, which I fit in, were going to be forgiven or dismissed. That's the word they use, dismissed. And I was like, this sounds too good to be true.
Mhm,
Check it out. It seems like it's legit. So we're waiting to see how that happens. But I'm like, oh my,
mhm,
that's amazing.
mhm,
That's absolutely amazing, because the people, it's not like loan forgiveness where someone else is going to have to pay that loan. Um, the company's defunct. The people are gone. It's not like someone still needs to get paid. But yeah, I just think that was interesting. So I really do hope that comes through. You know
mhm.
how bureaucracy goes. It may take a while, but
Mhm.
At least the loan officer that I was talking to was like, yeah, this looks legit. Okay,
Mhm.
we'll just
Mhm.
wait
Mhm.
to see what happens next with it. So,
So, beloveds, I want you to hear the through line because number one, what Chris said was a recruiter said to her, affordable payments.
yes, very affordable payments. And I'm like, great, that's complete. Now that was on me to not ask what that would be.
It is. However, this recruiter knew what they were saying. They knew what words to say to get you to sign. And so
True.
fast forward 20 years, then somebody has said, "Oh, well, some of that is not in keeping with good business practices to be able to make these promises and with an understanding, even if there's not a specific number of what affordable is." And so as of today, you have a balance of zero, correct?
It hasn't gone through yet. So they
Okay.
just put it in forbearance so that they could just stop it and wait for all that to come through.
Okay. 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 So are you like dancing the dance like it's all done, or are
I'm
you cautiously?
cautiously dancing. I'm a little
Okay.
dancy just because I'm like, is this
Okay.
really true? Is it, I mean, it seems like it is.
Yeah.
I'm a little now when that comes through with the email from my loan person to
Yeah.
say, yes, the Department of Education has completely uh, done away with this debt, then I will be dancing. But
Yes.
at the moment, I'm kind of like cautious, like, woohoo.
Yes. Exactly. 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 And
But
here's the
then,
thing, y'all. So many people don't have the end that Chris is having right now. So
so
many
true.
people are still carrying that debt. So many people are paying on things, decades and decades and decades. And I was recently looking at some data, and people that are like 40 to 55 that are currently carrying student loan debt is quite exorbitant. And what someone pointed out to me is the data is not only are they carrying debt from when they were in college, but also many of them are taking on like the Parent Plus loans for their students, their children to go to college.
Yeah.
And so how do you retire with that much? How do you build a home and build equity? How do there are all those things that are put off or completely stopped altogether because of carrying that.
I just don't know. I really don't. Um, Simply because of my loans and the way that I choose to do life. Um, I really just don't have a lot of debt, period,
Mm-hmm,
because of that. And I'm like, gosh, this was horrible. I didn't want to do that. I didn't understand what I was getting into.
mm-hmm,
And I choose to live a less, I don't have the newest car. I didn't buy a huge house, all those things. I choose to live a little under my means because of it.
mm-hmm.
But good grief, I can only imagine the people who don't really have that choice. You have a
Right.
family, you need a home, you need a reliable car, um, yeah, all
Mm-hmm,
these things. How? How do
mm-hmm,
you save for retirement? How do
mm-hmm,
you pay medical bills? How do you do all this stuff when you have so much debt on your head?
mm-hmm,
And then how do you go into later life
mm-hmm.
with this debt still? Because that answer is you don't. You just keep going with it. How do you get into later life in your 70s and 80s and you're still paying for a student loan that you got when you were 25?
Right. 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 Right.
I just don't get it. I think it's crazy. Hence the dang, I wish I knew you when I went to school.
Exactly. 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 Well, as always, anytime I have time with you is a phenomenal, fabulous day indeed. Any last words or last message you'd like to share?
Guys, this is really important. Think, think, think. Song just comes to head. My mind, sorry. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're putting things ahead. It's easy to make the plan because you're going with the flow and just say, okay, yeah, we'll get student loans and we'll figure it out. We've got a few years before they graduate and we have to start paying those loans back. Please, if
Mhm.
I can appeal to anybody, think about it.
Yeah.
Find out what Elizabeth has here, what DrRoz has for getting a debt-free degree, and do all you can to make your life, if it's you going to school and getting the loans, or
Mhm.
your children's lives, your nephews, your nieces, that's me. make their lives better.
Yeah.
You don't want to be carrying this debt, and you don't want them to be carrying this debt through retirement.
That's right.
Your Social Security payment should not be paying for your student loans. There you go.
And y'all, not only did you just hear Chris's brilliance, but as my videographer, she just gave me the title of my next reel. So y'all stay tuned.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes, yes. All right, beloveds, thank you all for tuning in. Chris, thank you so much for sharing your heart and being so transparent and walking through your journey with us. And until next time, y'all, I'll see y'all then. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.